Okay, folks, I just wanted to give you a quick update on Miles Morales, but before I do that, let me say that there may have been a change to Ethan Van Sciver's Cyberfrog Dark Harvest campaign. People are telling me now that he announced during Comicsgate Kings, which I only watched part of on Monday night, that he may be upgrading his 4 pages of exclusive content to 10 pages of exclusive content, followed by the line art for those 10 pages. He may not, after all, be making it 4 pages of exclusive content plus 6 page preview of Cyberfrog 3. So if that's the case, I'm going to be very pleased with that, and I most likely will be picking up that $20 item. So just letting you know that I haven't gotten confirmation on it, and it does not appear yet on his campaign page. So hopefully that is what will happen. As soon as I know, I'll just make a brief video on that. So Miles Morales, where are we now? I'm done with the Bendis years. Basically, I've managed to get through all of the Brian Michael Bendis material, including the Spider-Man 2 series, and honestly, I cannot say that Miles Morales is really in any better of a position than he was when I last gave you an update. And the reason being is that although there was a lot of potential with supporting cast members coming in, for example, in the first few issues of the Miles Morales Spider-Man that starts off after Secret Wars, and this is when Miles Morales has been rolled into the mainstream Marvel Universe, Miles Morales' grandmother shows up. Now, she is a character, and the family's reactions to her and all that make for some entertaining stuff. But just as quickly as she appears, she's gone. She winds up leaving the book after hiring Jessica Jones as a private investigator to try and figure out what is going on with Miles. Now, there's a lot of other little stories that take place in the course of this series with, Miles and Peter Parker, the adult Peter Parker, occupying the same universe now. But the problem I have with Brian Michael Bendis' work in the series is that it's so much talking. It's talk. And that's standard of a lot of his writing. It's like he talks so much that by the time you get to the point of a fight, the fights seem like they're just sparse and meaningless, and they're just a way to get the scene from point A to point B. It's so talk heavy, and it's nauseatingly talk heavy, and yet for all the talking, it's like nothing really happens. You get around to a point of feeling like all of this talking could have been accomplished in a half a page or a page instead of the 3 or 4 pages of dialogue that it all goes through, and nothing of really any importance happens. And a great case in point is when the Spider-Man book intersects with Civil War II. Now, Miles Morales did factor in as an important, somewhat important character in Civil War II, in that there was a flash of insight on the Civil War II character Ulysses Point, that Miles would kill Captain America, who at the time, remember, was a Hydra agent, having been altered by the Cosmic Cube. Now, that had potential, but again, Brian Bendis just used it all up on talk. You had so much of either Miles's friends are trying to find Miles, and then they're talking amongst themselves, and then Miles and Captain America end up in the same spot, and they're talking again amongst themselves. Or Iron Man approaches Miles because he feels like he needs Miles to be on his side in the upcoming Civil War, and they just talk the damn subject to death. There is so much talking, and it's like the last episode of the Spider-Man series, this particular Spider-Man series, actually has the freaking nerve to play into one of Bendis' own real-life experiences, in which he had a serious viral infection and ended up in the hospital, and he was in and out of consciousness at various points during 3 weeks or so. And every time he woke up, there were new people around him who were, cheering him up and giving him encouragement and basically sharing that, they loved him and wanted him to get better, etc., etc. And so he turned the last book of, or the last issue, his last issue of Miles Morales' Spider-Man, to exactly that same scenario. Miles, out of the blue, contracts some sort of virus, and then he's in and out of consciousness in the hospital, and then here are the champions, here's Peter Parker, here's his other friends, and all this stuff, and it's just like, oh God, this is boring. This is so very boring. And so this whole long slog with Miles Morales through the Brian Michael Bendis years has been this long period of him again coming to fruition as a character in his own right, because it's almost like he's getting validation every time he regains consciousness from either this hero or that hero. And I'm just like, oh God, do we need to go through the affirmations again? Do we need to solidify again that he's worthy of the title Spider-Man? Do we need to go through all this garbage? He also, earlier in the series, has a 6-part crossover with Spider-Gwen, who is a alternate reality Gwen Stacy who got bitten by the radioactive spider. And that all was more talking than anything else. Even though you had occasional fights in it, most of the fights were bounded by all sorts of talking, because Miles winds up having to go to a parallel universe where Spider-Gwen is and face the man who is his father in that universe, who is a bad guy, who is the equivalent of the Scorpion from the Ultimate Universe. So it's just so much freaking talking that I feel like my head has been loaded with information, but I haven't been loaded with anything of substance. And it's like all of the characters that Brian Michael Bendis brings to bear on Miles Morales don't have any solid relationship with him either. You wind up with Miles Morales picking up a new girlfriend, but there's nothing to her character. You wind up with Goldballs from the X-Men rooming with Miles and Genki, and yet he adds next to nothing from a character perspective. You've got Bombshell realizing that she's in love with Miles Morales, but this comes from out of the blue, and he doesn't reciprocate, so she just feels like a hanger-on-her. There's just not much in the way of character interrelations. Even his mom and dad, the grandmother drops completely out of the scene. The mother finds out that he's Spider-Man, and finds out in the dumbest way. She just goes into his room, and it turns out he's left pages regarding web fluid over there. Okay, and she has a hard time handling it, and so what happens? They talk, and they talk, and they talk, and they talk. And then she decides she can't handle it, and she leaves, and then she comes back, and they make up. And how do they make up? They talk! They talk and talk and talk and talk. This is one big fucking talk stream that I just want to be replaced with a decent fucking comic book that actually has action balanced with character development, balanced with characters that are actually worth a damn and don't feel like just Legos that are being plugged in and then tossed away. God, I'm really starting to detest Brian Michael Bendis' writing to the point where I want to go back and look at the Ultimate Spider-Man, the Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man that he wrote so long ago, and just ask myself, is this worth it? Or was this just hype blinding my eyes? Did I have hype-colored glasses on that blinded me to the fact that these comics are shit? I'm going to have to go back and reread those and honestly see. Because at this point, I don't have any confidence in the quality. Now, the only thing that Brian Michael Bendis has written that I know is quality are his Daredevil volumes. I read his Daredevil volumes, and I kept them up through the Golden Age. So from Underboss through the Golden Age, I believe that's volumes 4 through maybe 10 or 11 or so. Then those volumes, that's a solid run of Daredevil, and I do remember enjoying that. But as far as just his other writing has gone, oh God. In fact, I remember leafing through Justice League and the Legion of Superheroes, the last issue of that, and they went and it was talk. They finally figured out who the main villain of the series was, and he talked their ear off, and then, it turns out that they had trapped him in a bubble and he wasn't getting out of there, and so he was already beaten before they even began talking. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's just so aggravating that I'm just glad I have never, tried to get into his Superman stuff or any of his other outreaches into other comics. Oh God. Yeah, so that's basically been my impression of all the Miles Morales stuff up to this point. Now, here's the good news. At this point, Miles Morales is getting a new writer. I believe the guy's name is Saladin Ahmed, and I'm really looking forward to seeing whether or not somebody else taking Miles Morales on is going to elicit all of the character and development and potential in Miles Morales that Brian Michael Bendis just stepped on the whole time by talking the damn series to death. That is what I am looking forward to. So we will see that, and that will probably be my last update on Miles Morales when I get around to that, because there are 40-something issues to that block of comics, and then there is a new writer who's just taking over. I forget his name, and he's also, I think, was involved in part in some of the What If comics, though I don't think he wrote the controversial one where Miles Morales was Thor and he was just basically, the hood rat of thunder. So I am looking forward to this next phase in Miles Morales' evolution, because hopefully at this point he will actually evolve into an actual character with things to do and an environment in which he participates. I mean, seriously, the only time we saw him in the classroom a few times, and in school, and then there was the guy who used to room with him, who knows he's Spider-Man, and nobody cares about him, and he doesn't interact with them, and it's just, there's so much of the Bendis run of Miles Morales that is completely disposable. And that's what makes it so terrible, is that there's nothing to it that makes you think, oh, this is a legendary character in the making. So I'm hoping that now that a new writer is taking over, we will finally get to the point of seeing what the hype is about Miles Morales. So that is my update. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe so that you know when the next update on this or anything else, whether it's the Cyberfrog Dark Harvest campaign. I don't expect to get Wrecked Planet for a while yet. Just heard Ethan Van Sciver talking about how he's still got 10,000 orders to fulfill before getting to the Second Chance campaign, and this is the Second Chance campaign that I bought into. So it will be a while on that front, but I may have other items that I'm able to review for you in the meantime, so do hit the subscribe button so that you can keep caught up. I'm Mike Partika. Thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you later.